my name is Logan Dunham, and I am from the Center for Civic Engagement, and I am here with New York State Assembly woman candidate Lisa O'Keefe. Thank you so much for being here, and let's get started. Um,
Sounds great.
Perfect. So why are you running for New York State Assembly, and what will be your top priorities for the city?
Okay, so the reason that I'm running is because I remember when Broome County used to be called the most progressive county in all of New York State. In fact, we have the nickname the Valley of Opportunity. So in the past 20 years, we've gone from that to the county with the second highest poverty rate in all of New York State. So we also have twice the unemployment of the national average, and our poverty levels have increased, as well as our homeless rates, which have increased by 50%. So we're definitely going in the wrong direction. I have a new vision. I'm a former economics teacher and somebody with practical experience in government and helping communities to thrive. So I know how to do this. So my top priority is getting us back on our feet and making us thrive again. So we stop this mass exodus out of here. And it's really simple. And so I'll explain it like an economics teacher does. The first day of economics, what do you learn about? You learn about wants versus needs, and you always take care of your needs first. But in New York State, we're not doing that. We're taking care of our wants first. So we had money that was earmarked for the family and children's services. That is a need. At the very last minute, they pulled it away from that and put it into redecorating the Buffalo Bills Stadium. That's a want. We go ahead and we give anybody who's running for state office and above, we go ahead and give them collectively millions of dollars in order to have TV ads and brochures and so forth. And that is coming out of taxpayer dollars. We went ahead and gave our state legislature a 29% pay raise. Again, that's a want. Instead of having these wants, we have people that are needing things. We have the students and the elderly and the military, and we have just every single demographic needing things such as mental health and substance abuse. We need to lower our taxes, and we need to shrink down our government. It's become so expansive and so expensive that it's really hurting us. You know, New York State, so if we're looking at a larger scale, New York State, 11th year in a row that we have been ranked as the state with the worst economic outlook. We also have the least amount of freedoms. This is according to a George Mason survey. So we are definitely going in the wrong direction. And as an former economics teacher, and like I said, somebody who has practical experience in government, I know how to go ahead and make us thrive again.
Perfect. Thank you. So what committees do you plan on sitting on, and how is your membership on these committees representative of your interests, of your constituents? And what committees do you want to sit on?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure that I'm going to get the choice. I do know whatever committees I am put on, I am going to put together focus groups. I've already started doing that, where people in the community, both professionals and the average person, are going ahead and contacting me and asking to give their input on such things as crime and education and the elderly and veterans. And that's important that I hear their voice because, again, when you're in office, you are supposed to be the voice of the people. And yet, a lot of people here feel that they have been silenced. So, if I had my dream wish, I think that it would be three different committees that I would love to be on. Number one would be education, because I am a teacher and education is so critically important. We never stop learning and we have to invest in our youth. Not only do we have to invest in them, we have to go ahead and create jobs for them because we have some of the most brilliant minds that are attending college here. And yet, as soon as they graduate, a lot of them go ahead and move away. So I hope you do ask me a question about how I'm going to go ahead and reverse that. So education is critically important to me. And the veterans are also important to me. I grew up on Air Force bases for part of my childhood. My dad was career Air Force. And so I am keenly aware of some of the struggles that they face. I belong to different organizations that help to recognize depression and suicide in the veterans, and we have a huge veteran population here. I am so tired of watching some elected officials pat themselves on the back for doing the minimum when these people were willing to risk their all. And the third group that I'm hoping to get on is the aging. You know, it's interesting. I have a magazine on my website where I talk about the issues in depth. And one of them I talk about is the seniors. And I met with the First Ward senior citizens, and they told me something. And again, this is why it's so important to listen to people. They said that there is nowhere for them to go if they're abused. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So I checked on it and they were right. They don't go to the police. But what there is there's the Office for the Aging, but very few of them know that. And it's a 10-digit number and it's only open during extended business hours. So I propose come up with a 3-digit number like 111 and have it open 24/7. Because as the Office for the Aging said, if they don't catch them when they're open, they're probably going to lose them. And where are we getting the money? The controller already said, because you always have to look at where are we getting this money from when we're going ahead and proposing things. So the controller said that they had forgotten about hundreds of thousands of dollars that they were supposed to give to the Office for the Aging. So the money is right there. So I'm hoping that these are the committees that I'm put on, but I am ready.
Okay. So how will you support economic growth in the area? If you're elected, the child poverty rate, we talked about that, is 25.1% according to the U.S. Central Business 2022 American Community Survey 5-year estimates. So how are you going to improve food access and increase household income in the area?
That's a great question. And, we have to start off by looking at the big picture. We have to know that we have a plan and we have to fight for that. Because I've been looking through all of the bills and the funding, and there's a certain amount of money that is guaranteed for this area, but I haven't seen anything over the years where we're actually fighting for the money that we need. And again, we have to fight for our needs. So in Broome County, we have all these roads that go everywhere. And when our students graduate, they take those roads out of here. They may go up to Rochester for the med tech hub that's up there. They may go up to Syracuse for the manufacturing hub that is up there. Or they may go downstate for the financial tech hub that's down there. But what we're forgetting about is we're the central point. We're the focal point amongst all of those areas. So bring all of that in here. Make us the focal point. Make us the med tech hub. Make us the manufacturing hub. Make us the finance tech hub. We have it all right here. We're able to do it. And once we go ahead and do that and we provide the jobs for the people, then those people will be able to spend money in the community. So the small businesses will benefit. The arts will benefit. The not-for-profits will benefit. And when we have all of this money coming in, we have the money to help the people because we don't want to just keep throwing them a fish. We want to teach them how to fish. We want to give them the resources so every single person can thrive. When we talk about mental health and substance abuse, we have such a low level of funding for that. And yet, that's what we need. We have to make sure everybody is able to thrive. A long time ago, we used to have a program where people went ahead and they worked with different companies. So there may have been people who had mental health issues, or there may have been people who had substance abuse issues, or people who had different cognitive issues. And companies would go ahead and act like mentors and bring them on and teach them. We took an investment in that. We have to bring that mentality back. And we have to do it also starting with the schools. UE and North High, for example. So we're talking about high schools. North High now is Binghamton because North and Central had combined. But they were known as the tech-elect programs out of the entire nation. People in the entire nation knew, and they would hire the students because we were giving them the education that they needed. And not everybody is going into college. Trades are extremely important, and we're lucky that we have the trades here. I know I went and visited the IBEW in Binghamton, and they have a huge training center where they go ahead and they will train the people on how to be safe in a job, and they pay well. So we have all these resources. We have to coordinate it. And when we coordinate it, we're going to go ahead and be able to feed the people because they're going to be able to help themselves. So we have to provide the resources and the jobs to make it happen.
Okay. How would you look to create more affordable housing in your district? And if so, how would you go about doing that?
Okay, so we have started with a lot of affordable housing. Unfortunately, the affordable housing that we have is not hitting every sector. When it comes to the seniors, we have a growing population with the seniors, and yet they are ignored when it comes to affordable housing. If you look at some of these places where they go to live, I've been talking to different nurses and different people at these different facilities, and they say that they buy their cottage for between $250,000 and $300,000, and then on top of it, for cleaning and so forth, they are paying between $5,000 and $8,000 a month. I said, "How in the world do these people afford this?" And they said, "Well, usually by the time they make this decision, their life expectancy is only a couple years, so they're using up their life insurance money, their money from their house that they first had, and so forth." So when we look at affordable housing, we have to look at all the sectors that need it. So seniors, number one. Number two, I don't know if you've seen it with the students, but a lot of these students are being crammed into homes that were not expected to have this many students. I think that it goes against zoning laws, and I look at a lot of the mold and so forth in these homes. Now, that's not with all landlords, because I know a lot of great landlords, but we have to go ahead and get more affordable housing for them, especially if we're going to create this economic hub where we're going to keep them here for the jobs. And so all different sectors are in need of affordable housing. Again, that comes from taking care of our needs before our wants. And let me just go into a little bit more detail into our wants. So a lot of times, if somebody's a special interest group, their projects are funded. When I mentioned about the money for people running for office, for example, I'm running for New York State Assembly. If I reach a basic minimum in donations, New York State automatically gives me $175,000 of taxpayer money. So you times that by two people running for office, 150 seats in the assembly, so that's 300 times $175,000, just so these candidates could go ahead and have an extra commercial on TV or send out extra brochures. That money can be put toward affordable housing. When you're running for the Senate, you get double that amount of money, and it continues to go up straight up to the governor, where it's $3.5 million. And we're not just talking about the general election. This applies to primaries as well. So you could have a situation where you have dozens of people trying for one area for assembly or Senate, and that will basically bankrupt us. So we have to have our priorities straight, and we have to start looking at transparency, because how our legislators vote is not always what they say that they're doing. So we have to make sure that people know what they're voting on and what they're spending money on. When I talk about the 29% pay raise, this is money that the state legislators voted for themselves during COVID, when everybody was losing their jobs and people were scrambling to see how they were going to keep food on their table. They gave themselves a 29% pay raise. I don't know of any other employee who gets that type of pay raise. And yet they're the employee. Us, the voters, were the employer. And yet they felt that they were all right with doing that. We are the highest paid state legislature in the entire nation. Nobody comes close to us. Places like Florida and Texas, their people make about $10,000 a year. And we have $142,000 plus all the other benefits and so forth. Plus they wrote that they can have a second job paying up to $35,000 a year because they consider this part-time. Well, that's not acceptable. That money is the people's money, and we have to start giving it back to the projects that help the people, such as like what you were saying with affordable housing and so forth.
Okay. So what are your plans to improve transportation in your district? How will you work with towns, cities, and other municipalities in your district to improve transportation?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's something that I'm going to have a focus group on to make sure that we're doing this properly, because we have to look at mass transit. You know, we can't all be going into our cars all the time. That just creates congestion. And if we're going to have and having us as an economic hub, we need to figure out not only the infrastructure to make sure that we're not bogged down with traffic like you might see in Long Island, for example, but we have to have, you know, where it's efficient. We know that we have the proper roads and so forth to handle it. And we have to go ahead and incorporate a mindset where people want to take mass transit. You know, down in Scranton, they actually started where they said, you know what? We're starting economically to boom. We want to go ahead and make sure people are coming to us. So they went ahead and hooked up to make sure that they have passenger travel with trains from Scranton to New York City. So that way people can go ahead and go back and forth to visit people for jobs and for medical. That's something that we could do as well. We used to have that long time ago. That's not something that is hard to set up. And there's a lot of grant money to allow it. It's just a matter of starting this process. So that's one other way of ensuring that we have mass transit to help a growing population, because right now our population is shrinking. My plan will be to bring in more people, stop the exodus out of here, and we have to look at this all holistically about how we make this not only a thriving community, but a livable community.
Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to share to help students decide who deserves their vote?
Yes. So I have a website, and the website is called www.lisaokeefe123.com. So on there is a PDF to download. I have a magazine. Actually, now I have two magazines on there. They go into depth on different issues and how I stand on them, because I don't believe in all of these little flyers, because all they are is bullet points. You can basically cut out the person's name and face and everybody's looks the exact same way. So I want people to actually know that there is a way to do this and how I plan to do it. But most importantly, if you go to the very back of the magazine, it has my personal cell phone number as well as my email address. And I ask everybody, call me, let me know your concerns, because I need to hear your voice. And I have been hearing from students, I've been hearing from seniors, I've been hearing from veterans, I've been hearing from all different groups. And some of them are on matters that deal with the city, like people with the blue bags and not liking that. And they're asking me, well, who can I contact about that? So there is never a question that is too small. I am going to be the voice of the people when I am in office, and it starts now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming today. Students, please make sure to check out other videos to see all the other candidates, and don't forget to vote on November 5th. If you have any questions, please come to the Center for Civic Engagement, located across the marketplace.